Hi, Jack.
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah, mate, I'm in the middle of watching the fucking wrestling right now.
Are you? What's that on?
I've had to pay for it. It was only like a tenner, but that's the one at Wembley. I'm watching it right now.
Oh, yeah. One day you might grow up, Jack. I'm joking. You won't.
Anyway, should I invite our guest in?
Yeah, invite him in, mate. I follow him on Instagram. He's got a story to tell. I feel rough, mate. I'm sorry I've got a shit immune system.
Why have you got a shit immune system? What's that all about?
Probably all the drugs I used to smash in.
Oh, really? Did you have a drug problem, Sam?
Yeah, did you not know about that? I don't like to mention it.
I don't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, right. Well,
how have you been, Jack?
I'm good, mate. Like, today's been a good day. I went out and got myself in the water this morning, and went and done some cardio when I got back. Went for a walk, done some stretching, and I've just been watching wrestling all day.
Has it been on all day? Is it,
mate? It's been going on since I think it's kicked off like 3:00.
Really?
Yeah.
How many people they got on the card?
A whole bunch, and there's about 80,000 in attendance.
That's good.
It's fucking mental, mate. It's unbelievable. What a great show.
If everyone in attendance could send our podcast £1, that'd be great. That's £8,000. Quick maths.
Good maths, Samuel.
What's going on?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
How you doing, Ross?
Well, it's a day, so I don't understand bank holidays. Never have done.
Okay.
Because of the nature of my life, just inherent of my work, it's the case, right? So every day, and how I live my life, every day is exactly the same. Like every day, it's exactly the same. So I wake up at the same time. I wake up at the same time tomorrow as I will do today, as I did the last 400 days, and I'll keep doing this. It's very peculiar, but we'll get into this in a bit. So
awesome.
Oh, that was a hell of an entrance. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you ever so much for being gracious enough. I'm an open book. Ask what the fuck you like.
No, I love that. I appreciate it. I guess we'll just start from the beginning, if that's all right. A little bit about your background. I know you had some issues with drink and drugs, and your life's completely different to what it used to be. So,
yeah,
if you could tell us a little bit about your upbringing, how you got into the drink and drugs, and where you are today, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, I come from a pretty working class background. My dad was a labourer. He had construction firms, so there was definitely, he always got after it. My uncle, same. He was actually cabbie in London. We come from some fairly hard drinking Irish background, it appears, with mental health issues and stuff like this from like North London, if you dig it all the way back. But I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, my parents were still together. There were always issues likewise. But my dad did a good job of keeping us out of certain places, even though because of the nature of what he had, he was surrounded by scumbags. Because frankly, he was a bit of one, if I'm honest. It's just the nature of the beast of working in groundworks in sort of 70s and 80s and whatnot, right?
Mm.
So everything was kind of good for me until I wound up going to comprehensive school, and that was where I think things started to pull away from me personally. I didn't fit in. I was a pretty sensitive kid. I should have gone to grammar school, but I missed that particular boat because of volume of people by all accounts. So my parents tell me. I should have been good at music. I qualified like second in the year for that. Pursued that, but then let that go for all the same reasons, which was self-belief and confidence. Fitting in, because I tried to fit in too much. That then persisted with me then making totally unintentional choices about where I lived. What I did to study, where I went to university, and drinking started probably when I was about 14.
Mm.
Just, fairly innocuous shit. And that just then built up. spun up at university, did sales as a career. That's all part of it. Yeah, then the rest follows, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, so your drinking, did it just start off at weekends and just a normal like binging, or did you have a problem straight away with it?
No, but I think it's well, if you're 14, you're drinking, it's a problem, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think I'd go as far to say that probably any drinking is a drinking problem. If you're doing it to distract and destroy, right, or to subsume yourself, which was definitely the case for me, right? This was definitely the case for me because I wasn't confident in myself, so I used liquid courage, right? Liquid courage.
Yeah.
The world's worst fucking thing. It's just literally it's so non-courageous. So I think it was that. It was the tool that I was using it for, which was I was abusing it. Technically, I was abusing it from the get-go.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily wrong, but it's intentional application. Yeah.
Yeah, changed the way you felt from a young age. Yeah. And I suppose it's so common as well, especially in the UK. I think at that age, 14 and that, where people start drinking, I see a pattern here, and it's scary, really, because our brains haven't developed at that age properly yet, have we? And then you add toxins and alcohol and drugs and whatever. You haven't given yourself a chance to grow up and fully develop, especially your mind, not just your body, but your mind as well. So if there is underlying like insecurities and stuff there, you're only temporarily fixing them, and you're essentially going to make the situation worse, which I know for myself it just made it 10 times worse, and I'm sure you'd probably agree.
Well, it's a counterfactual, isn't it? Because you don't know how that experiment would be run without it, but I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that it wouldn't have gone the way it went. I think that's probably fair to assume, right?
Yeah, that's it. So the alcohol started at 14. When did you start experimenting with other stuff as well?
Okay, so I think that came in. I mean, you smoke a bit of weed in the park, but as it was back then, it's not like it is now. As us old buggers would probably say.
Yeah.
But I remember having my first pill. I never thought I'd ever do that. And again, it's because I was drunk. And again, that's because I wanted to shift my state because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. All these things come back round to that. All come back round to the sense of self, which comes way back round to stuff which happened before, right? It's there's a thread, total thread. I mean, I think you can take it back a little bit further if you sort of want to dig into it, but that's by the by. But then of course it's pills and whiz.
Yeah.
A couple of pills and a gram of whiz. And then I would lean into that as a kind of pseudo identity as someone who could, put a fair number of pills away.
Yeah.
Going in and out of London, I worked in kitchens, so no one gave a fuck if you were off your tits as long as you turned up and cleaned the restaurant. And
are you a chef? Are you a chef? Are you?
No, good God, no.
No.
Mate, I mean Ramsey lives here, but I would be a great chef if I had a Ferrari, but I have one, and I can't cook for shit.
Yeah.
I had chicken and prunes for dinner, so there you go. Surprisingly nice.
I saw your reaction on your story, mate.
Yeah,
enjoying it.
If you eat like I do, then anything like that's a win. No, so I just worked at Blue Strawberry in Hatfield Peveril. Still there, actually, it's still there. And it didn't really matter. And then, of course, I then went to university. The drugs tailed off. The booze, of course, was there. Same problem, really. In fact, definitely. And then when I went into a job which I didn't like.
What was that?
Which is sales.
Yeah,
yeah. Which plays against all those kind of insecurities. I mean, I remember the very first job. I thought I had social anxiety. I didn't. I just wasn't comfortable with myself. That's not the same thing. I used to think I didn't like other people. I don't love other people. I didn't like myself.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, there was always this quality that I remember my first job at NAP. You'd have this kind of forced fun type stare, and I couldn't understand it, and still don't understand it, hence why I'm self-employed, but I just didn't fit in. Now, there could be numerous reasons for that, right? But I really felt that. And again, what did that drive? Drove the drinking.
Yeah.
Then it just a continual pattern of unintentional, non-considered, non-intentional moves in my life. And then you live with the consequences of that on the small and large scale, because you haven't essentially sorted yourself out to be able to have clarity to think and make better decisions in the round. And guess what you do? Because it's a feedback loop, because you're not in a good state.
Yeah. Very fascinating bloke. You've got a lot of wisdom.
I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I talk to a lot of people, one of the things I don't read, I have books. I do read a lot of books, and I think one of the things about doing stuff like this, that when you talk, you will get affirmation just from the interaction, by the quality of the interaction back, that you're onto something.
Yeah.
And then it kind of feeds itself. It's how it would have been done. We wouldn't have had the fucking internet. We'd have talked to each other. It's not necessarily about talking our problems out. It's as we speak, we hear, and then there's a kind of, like this moment right now will never happen again between us three. I mean, it's going to replay, but this is a novel known moment. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Is that what you do these days? Is live in the present?
I try to. I try to. Have you seen what I've got, this hilarious poster, the Memento Mori poster?
I don't think I have.
Oh, I'm gonna have to show you this, right? There,
right. I'm going to turn my light on because it's got really dark.
Hey, no, it's okay. No, but it's like I am a bright light. You just have to get used to it, right? So
it's like that.
Oh, mate, I trigger the fuck out of people around here. So because I just don't roll like everyone else. It's so funny, right? So that's my whiteboard of all shit. It's this thing here. See what those black dots are?
Yeah.
That's my fucking life.
Yeah.
Right?
Please explain.
Right. No, this is amazing, right? So you can buy these off Etsy. I'd highly recommend them. Because what this is 52 dots. So you can see down the bottom, they're not filled in. That's filled in, not filled in. So that's 52 circles, and there's 90 lines in total. So that's a good life. And here's the thing. You show people that, and they come up with all sorts of different responses. Maybe a face like that. Maybe a face like that. And it will do all sorts of stuff. It'll do all sorts of stuff to you, really. You might think, fuck me, I've got a lot of time left. And you think, and I would say, are you fucking sure about that, son? Right? Because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Not even guaranteed next moment, right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, you'd also say, if you think you're going to live that long, what the fuck are you doing to make sure you get there? That could be another question. That's an obvious one to me. Then when you look back as you're filling this thing, you think, I mean, how old are you two? About the same age as me, right? 46, 47?
I'm 36.
Really?
No, I'm 37. I just turned 37.
You had a long paper. You had a long paper round, right?
Yeah, I used to a lot. I think it was the drugs.
Again, in one of these pictures, but in 2016, mate, I look like a million years old. It's like I look younger than I did back then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the youngster here. Then I'm only 32. So
you're a man child. Fuck off.
I'm very much so. Yeah.
Oh no, but I was, and I sorted that out. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But you fill that in, that's a lot of weeks. Whatever it is, for us, it's a lot of weeks. That's a lot of weeks. And you can start thinking, what's in there? There's all sorts of shit in there. Good, bad, triumphs, tragedies, the whole 9 yards. But guess what? What does it matter? None of it really, truly matters. No, it doesn't have, or rather, it doesn't have to matter. Right? It doesn't have to matter. And I do a lot of meditation. I did half an hour beforehand because I was a bit fizzy. Right? I had a weird day yesterday. So I have two solutions to my agitation, which is vigorous exercise and meditation. That does me good.
Yeah.
So I can do that anywhere. I can do that anywhere. I can sit down and do press ups. I can sit and do that anywhere. Right. I just have time, like 5-10 minutes. I'm good. And that teaches you to be, you know, the future is an imagination, and the past is only can be visited with thought, right? So the past is the past. So now all there is now. It's like as a matter of conscious experience, all there is now. So when you're filling that fucker in, it's like, what's the only thing that matters? Well, it's the dot we're in. The dot we're in. It's the dot we're in. And then to try to enrich that dot.
Yeah. Now, Ross, I follow you on Instagram. You're very disciplined these days. You're obviously disciplined in your meditation. You're at the gym a lot and everything. But there was a stage of your life where you clearly wasn't. Where did the shift come from? Where?
Well, okay. So so there's a couple of things. So basically, you always know, right? You always know this isn't good. I mean, I've run this business for 11 years, right? I had a brother-in-law as part of the business. He was, let's say, not doing stuff that he should have been doing. I found out about it, and I think that was one of the causal factors of me taking a lot, because I think subconsciously I knew something was up. I just couldn't face it, right? Pain avoidance, betrayal, all my worst things, right? And I wound up going to litigation, moved out to Devon to an ex-partners, which was not ideal, but it got me out of Dodge. It got the drug use collapsed, but the booze happened. I remember when I moved out of there, the shame about my alcohol use is like the cans or other places. It was like, not that wasn't an indicator enough, but you can't, but what? So it kind of was like, oh my God, I did this. I did this as I moved out. And, you know, all through that time, I was drug driving, drink driving, all fucking just the most appalling, fucking selfish, dreadful traits. I mean, I've forgiven myself somewhat, but I would never have been able to forgive myself if something bad happened. I'd probably had to kill myself, because that would have been that would have been the inevitable thing, because it was what could you do? And the shame, you know, because Shame Mountain keeps us there. If you sitting at the bottom of Shame Mountain is the shittiest place in the world, right? Literally is the shittiest place in the world. Literally, there is no worse place. So I then moved to Essex, ironically, to a place called Repton Park. It's in Woodford Green. It's an old mental hospital that was converted. How apt, right?
Lovely.
Yeah, it's great. It's lovely. It's an amazing place. I then met a girl that I then wholeheartedly self-sabotaged on an alcohol and cocaine binge with a pretty severe psychotic event. And the first time I accused her of X, Y, and Z, she thought it was funny. Second time, not so much. Third time, because of course, you should stop, Ross. I wasn't stopping. I had 6 bags to use. What the fuck was I going to do? If it's in the house, it's in me. It's like biscuits. I can't have them in the house. It was the same with that.
Yeah.
And you know, because it's a bit Moorish. And she lost her shit with me, and that was an undeniable, because I love that woman. I still do. And she said, that's ridiculous. And I stopped. Called my parents, like in the morning, got sobered, called my parents, told them everything, like everything. They were fucking surprised and shocked. Found a psychiatrist, did this, just fucking acted. That was actually quite easy, right? It was quite easy, relatively. I had a dream where I was sat on a park bench and someone gave me a beer, and I actually looked at it and gave it back. I knew I'd never drink again. Like literally knew. Yeah, seriously, I knew I'd never drink again. I knew I'd never drink again. Like never. If you don't drink, the other system's going to follow, right? But that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem. It never is. It was all the treatment to the problem. The problem was my pain of rejection, my pain of loneliness, my fear that I was coating. And then I chased the girl. She was in Cheltenham. So I moved up there because, oh, look, you know, attachment issues, right? And that didn't go well. And she had to end it because she knew that she had become, I have spoken to her since, and I think I've got this number correct. is that she became the sedator of my pain. So essentially codependence.
Mm.
I was highly dependent on her. And she had to stop that. And I do not fucking blame her at all, because I was a chaotic, paranoid, childish, needy, grabby mess, because of course, you know, that was essentially replaced. I was doing therapy, I had all sorts of stuff was coming through, but nothing really involved. Then that happened just over a year ago. May, June.
Yeah.
That was the catalyst, but that was when I had my DTs, essentially. Oh yeah, that was fucking miserable. But that's when the discipline came in. I took on a coach who I'd actually ironically looked at several months before, but I just couldn't face. Couldn't face the responsibility of the discipline. So
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but this is quite, because I try to coach people now, and this I recognise, and it's just been weak. You've been weak to be
already. Do you think it's a case of some people aren't ready?
They know they're ready because they're looking, right? They're looking, always looking. You're always looking. You're ready. You just don't have. There's a bit of you which has no spine, and it's you have to deal with that. You have to commit, and it's quite amusing. People can quite commit to their bad very well and good. But you try to commit to your good, there's a lot of resistance. You do stuff, which you get a free fucking pass. You'll pay for that, but you get a free pass. You want to do something good, you've got to break through a seal. You have to earn that, and it's that, and it's like that's what I see, and that's what my experience is. But you have to persist. You have to persist, and it's like that's why the page exists. Essentially, it's there, but you kind of, there's a compassion argument, right? So compassion is often done for people who have had hard lives, and compression is done for people who are soft but have made like weak vice ass choices, right?
Yeah.
because the accountability is like, no one's come to them and said fuck's sake, and no one they respect. And essentially that was, I think, the case. Well, I needed a bit of both because I compressed myself. Once I decided, I compressed myself. I flagellated myself like hell. But once I decided, once I went over that threshold, I mean, okay, I had to fucking pay for it, but the whole point about paying for it is you're essentially saying, I'm doing this. I'm doing this, right? It's like you pay because you value yourself. It's one of these weird things. I thought it's what people did to sell shit. It's not. The more you pay, the more you get in terms of what you do. Whether it's emotional investment, whether it's spiritual investment, whether it's, you know, the sacrifice you're making, and that's just one of the sacrifices, means you're gonna get loads back. And I've never done.
What was your social circle like at this point, Ross?
I didn't have one. I did this all on my own. I created a world. So this is it about my self-loathing and my inability. I had friends who are all diffuse. I've lived around lots of different places. My work is diffuse. My work is highly automated. I don't have staff.
Okay.
You know, so I had no fucking support. I had no support. Not that would have made a difference, by the way. Not that would have made a difference. That would have made fuck all difference at all. That would have been total. That literally, I was quite happy doing this. And until I did like a diagnosis of ADHD, and as I was going through this was like as I gave up. I think I've largely dealt with that by other techniques, by the way. But as I was going through the pre-diagnostic, it was a realization that I go, do you get in trouble at work? Well, I can't get in trouble at work. Guess why?
Yeah, you're the boss.
Any big balls is the boss, right? Do you fall out with people? Well, I do, but who gives a fuck, right? All these things. I created this gilded cage for me, which some people would think was some kind of paradise. Oh, I would love a life like that.
Yeah.
And of course I kept on. I wasn't conducive to a partner. You've seen those photos in 2016. I looked like a fucking sack of shit.
Without being rude, yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt. My external representation, the external was a total representation of the internal. With that,
but Ross, you still had the nice cars, the nice house, and everything. You didn't lose any of that, did you? You just lost the stuff that was important to you and yourself.
Well, there's a couple of things to say about that, which is because of the construction of my business.
You
know, I let a toxic motherfucker into my business. It was my brother-in-law who was quite happy to see me finished and the business with me, as long as he walked away scot-free. I'd say it to his face, but we had litigation on this, so there you go. We had a settlement. But I've forgiven him. He that's not an issue. So I've not spoken to my sister from then, since then. So it's all good fun. And the construction of my business mitigated that, but I did drop a bottle which cost me millions of quid. Totally. So and it's only now where I'm actually suddenly pulling my head out of my arse and going, I need to look at my business. I need to show this. So because it's associated with a lot of toxicity for me. Because again, it was another unintentional thing. It just happens to be a relatively good unintentional thing, but still unintentional. So it just on the nature of how it's constructed is it's resilient to my best efforts to totally detonate it. I'm a clever fucker. But the thing is that had I had a business which might have been more dependent on me, I might not have got so bad so quick. See what I mean? So again, having a highly automated business, which you only work X number of hours in a week as everything goes on and the customers are X, Y, Z, in general, that might be shifting on me, is a poison chalice. People think they want this shit. They don't. It's like lottery wins. You don't want it. Not really, unless you're mature enough to have it. It's like all these things. These are the lessons. The lessons, when you talk about on the self-development thing, say, you will only have the relationship when you're mature enough. I am now, I wasn't. You have the money when you're mature enough. I am now, I wasn't. Because you just turn it inwards and you'll just sabotage the fuck out of yourself. It'll bring out all the worst stuff. And all of a sudden you just get divorced and you're fucking not going, pouring around it, because suddenly you can. It just unleashes this inner cunt in you because it was always there, because it hasn't been resolved. And the whole point of me going back, I mean, if you see, I got told to distress myself financially, and it has distressed myself financially. I bought a fucking Ferrari. Because it's lovely. Because that was relative to me. And I mean, everything's relative, right? Everything's relative, depends where you're at scale. And the life I live now is I'm just wringing the hell out of things. My resources are the same. It's like physically I'm the same. All I just do is I just eat well and train and live a disciplined life. That's the only thing that's changed. And the quality of my life has gone through the roof. And it's the same with this. I just lean into what I've got harder. I push things hard, and the quality of my life is so much better because, and it's come with other stuff, and it's made me all sorts of, some worries, but that's okay. That's what I needed to kind of make me alive. And it's sort of that sort of stuff. And I never thought I'd be brave enough or worthy enough to have. Again, you have this thing, and does it own you or you own it? These are all the things.
Well, I'm glad you recognise that you are, mate. Because you seem like a decent geezer, and I'm glad you just brought up as well about what you eat. Because I wanted to ask you about that. Because Jack, you don't follow me on Instagram yet, do you? But this fella's got like a fucking 12-pack, not even a 6-pack.
So I used to be, I suppose, a fairly normal looking bloke, like about a year and a half back. It's 14 months ago. And then I started doing this, and I've trained all my life, and I got a macros based diet, and the point about putting macros based, fat, protein, carbs, that's a general way of looking at things. But what I got given, and the reason why you do this as part of the practice is, let's say, for example, you come along with a coach and you go, okay, do this. And what you're doing is you're breaking self-limiting beliefs. You're breaking self-limiting beliefs. What time can you wake up? Right, I'll wake up early. I'll wake up for me. For no other reason, I'll wake up for me. Everyone breaks on the wake up time, by the way.
Yeah, because you wake up at like 3 a.m, don't you?
10 past 3. 10.
Oh, you give yourself 10 extra minutes, do you?
It's like tonight after I've done you, I've got a coaching call that finishes at 11. Later than that, I'll have 4 hours. I'll be up. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't
matter. Do you go off 4 hours sleep a night, or does it vary? Do you sometimes have more?
It varies. We because of our association with sleep, we can debt sleep. Right, we get sleep. You can get away with no fucking sleep if you need to.
I went with no sleep for a long time, and it fucked me up.
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing. If you're healthy, it'd be like everyone goes, "Oh, so healthy," and I look at it and I go, "Yeah, okay. How's it working out for you?" That would be the first thing. Secondly, it's not to say it's no sleep. It's that largely unconsciously aligned. I have such low inner turmoil emotionally compared to what I used to. I'm much more sensitive to that I have my resources, like emotionally, are much better. I can't sleep more than 5 hours.
Yeah.
I can't sleep more than 5 hours. And there's all sorts of stuff about expectation, and there's a complicated mix when it comes to sleep. I'm not saying everyone should live like me. I mean, really, just part of an early wake-up time should imply, so tonight I have to do this, but it means go to bed fucking early. What else are you going to do at 9:30, 10 o'clock? Watch the telly? No.
Yeah.
So go to sleep, wake up, earn the day. So this is all ritualized ardor, making life a little bit more challenging, mentally tough. It also means that when I wake up and someone asks me to do something, like my parents call, I go, no problem. I don't have to wake up special. I'm up anyway. You're up anyway. It's like if things shift on me, I have so much capacity ahead of everything. It takes out stress.
Yeah.
So you're basically subduing problems before they start, because I've got, I have my morning wake up. I'm in the gym at 4. If I had to, I'm up at 10 past 3. What we do? Who are we fighting? It's totally that, which is what.
What's the day in the life for Ross then? So walk me through your average day. You get up, you go to the gym, and I want to know what you eat as well.
So I wake up, I have morning process. I wake up, I read, I write about it, I set my intentions. That's basically my to-do list. I go shower, in a couple of coffees. Sometimes I meditate, sometimes I don't. Depends what's going on in the day for 10 minutes, and then I walk to the gym. Gym's like 10, 15 minutes around the corner. I do. It's varied. I've changed it because I'm trying to change my. I was doing up to 600 burpees in the morning. I do 300 now, right? So that's what that is. That's not exercise. That's a gratitude test. That's an offering that puts me in a box that establishes, a bit like you going to the water. It's a toughness test, right? Similar thing, right? And the great thing about burpees is I can do them wherever the fuck I like. I happen to go to the gym. I can just do them here. That's why I do them. Doing weights and training and stuff like that, that's fun. I enjoy that way too much for that to be worthwhile in the morning. I have to do something difficult and obnoxious in the morning. So then I do that, come back. It's probably about 5, maybe then meditate, up, dog out, coffee, bang. And then I'm kind of good to go. I've got a lot of capacity. I'm posting all the whole time because that's all getting part of the discipline. Because part of me doing the Instagram was to put my ego in a box. All this is called habitual construction. If you don't want to be the person you were, do stuff aggressively that the other person couldn't even begin to imagine. And it delineates. Man, I've had ego deaths and all sorts meditating.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I'll get into that. I'll stick a pin in that. Then I'm up. I can do work. I'm up and about. I have capacity. Then I've done my bit for me, and anything I do on top of that, which I'll do weights later, just to keep me up. Because it's like, why should you have a good day? We should earn it. You should offer it. The universe, they say the universe, but nature rewards hard work, and you will feel good. And literally, I will walk around and go, I've fucking done so much more than every other person I can't even begin to how far, And then if you're a man of 46-year-old with a 6-pack, you're rarer than someone who's got multi-millions of pounds, right? So my business, that kind of stuff doesn't really matter. What delineates me is my spiritual growth and my physical capability. That's what makes me walk around here like a motherfucker. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, right? Because I've done stuff these people can't begin to imagine. It just elevates them.
Yeah,
right?
but before 4 o'clock in the morning. But
yeah, totally. And if you have self-worth issues, and my self-worth issues were hilariously fucking deep, this is a good thing to do.
Where do you reckon they stem from then, Ross? Do you reckon you were born with them?
No. No, I think we're born perfect. I think we're born perfect, conscious creatures. But this is all egoic. So, you know, if you spend a lot of time meditating, you have this thing which is yourself, which is a construct in your consciousness, which is this idea of you. And mine was 4 years old. Ruby, love her. She saw this thing. She was so intuitive, but she also saw me. Women will do that. The good ones will do that. They'll see the good in you, right? Beyond the cunt. They'll see but unfortunately, it's our job to put the cunt in bed and make sure he stays there, right? That's the sacrifice. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have the opportunity to do that until we have to do that like this. And no, I think that's like learned behavior, habitual. We're creatures of habit, and they're all protective systems and traumas and fears, and this is what we do in this circumstance, you know, or just subconscious and unconscious. I've got a book, it's called the Power of 50 Bits. And the idea is we're pulling in 10 million bits of data a second, right? 50 bits to 100 bits are handed over to conscious thought. We're unconscious creatures, right? So all of our acts and behaviors are rationalized. We're all just limbic at the worst. So when we're trying to do stuff like deliberately hard things, what you're trying to do, I think, is there's this, which is how it feels, but there's also some deeper subconscious stuff, which is reprogramming on a very fundamental level. That's what discipline does. Discipline reprograms you on a fundamental level, that your self-belief and self-worth gets retuned, essentially, because you're valuing it on your own efforts. There's an idea that you break your word to yourself. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Every time you back out of things, you break your word to yourself, and you know.
We were speaking about it with the last guest we had on, actually, and I was talking to a friend about it recently. So it's funny that you bring it up as how the universe works, I think, isn't it?
Well, but, I think as a model to get on top of some very deep behavioural quirks and pain avoidance, which is, you know, always going to be like some kind of learned helplessness thing. They're great ideas because they're stuff you can use, right? They're stuff you can use. I love that idea. So yeah, this actually, I don't realize the importance of this until the other day. There was some kid who was sort of playing around by my cars out the front, and he could gab. And I said to his mum, I said, look, if they tell him to be quiet, tell him no. He can talk, and anyone who can talk, who can truly talk, they change the world. They can change the world. They totally can. If you can use your voice, if you can find your voice and use it, mate, unbelievable.
I'm glad to hear that, because I can fucking talk for Britain.
He certainly can.
Well, it's like I mean, I'll get off topic a bit, really, but it's like, have you ever wondered why you actually talk the way you talk?
Well, you're a product of your environment, aren't you?
Well, not just that. You're a product of your environment, but also then you're an habitual creature. So your voice isn't probably your true voice. Have you thought about that? Because that's a powerful thought. That means that whenever you speak, you're not quite aligned to what your physicality could be. Quite aligned because of all previous traumas or events, all sorts of stuff, right? When I do like occasional flotation tank, my voice is lowered over time. If you go back to my early videos, it's much more nasal, much more up here, a bit more adenoidy, right? Probably a bit more right? And it's dropped. And if I have a float, I shit you not, you'll hear it. It will literally drop half an octave.
Really?
Yeah, totally. Because of how we hold ourselves, we're all sort of in preemption of all sorts of things, right? And I've got a thing called by a guy called Per Bristow. He talks about this, about you can do these like techniques which will loosen the base of the tongue because it's all kind of constricted habitually. And it feeds back because whenever you hear it, you hear yourself, right? Like when you speak, you hear yourself. Like, I've changed my view on self-talk like massively. I really have to watch my complaining, and I definitely won't let bitch voice out, right? Everything's good because two people in a conversation here, it's you and the other person. And then if you think about it, so it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, but the actual voice. You might not be talking with your true fucking voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there'll be a bit of you which sort of knows. There'll be a bit of you which sort of knows.
Yeah,
like,
I think
totally deep in you. It's like nuts.
I think you're onto something there because you sort of become a character as you get older. I think betray a character, don't you?
Well, this comes down to egoic structure, and also you think about when your voice is shifting. This is going at school, and this is all wrapped up in all sorts of hilarious, fucking body image issues and stuff like that. So it's just the worst time for this to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to, back in the day, what were you probably doing? You were probably out hunting with a group of men, right? who understood how it sucked. And you weren't tucked in front of girls to try to, deal with this. And it's like I sort of said to someone dear to me once, it was a horrible thing to say. I said she terrified me, and actually I was lucky enough to be able to make good on that, which is she terrified me. Do you know who fucking terrified me?
Yourself.
Always.
Yeah.
There's nothing to fear in the world. That bad thing never fucking happened. That bad thing never happened. Never. It's always what we do to ourselves. What's it? The world's problems. Is it Immanuel Kant? The world's problems are caused by man not being able to sit quietly alone in a room by himself. Fucking true.
Yeah.
Fucking true. That was it. I didn't like myself enough, so what did I do? Drank booze, smashed gear, couldn't talk to girls, so it didn't make me like myself. I mean, literally, it's no word of a lie. I had never asked a girl out in the flesh until this year.
Really?
Yeah. What a pussy. Right?
No.
Right? What a fucking pussy.
I think it's the way we live these days as well. I don't think a lot of that goes on these days as well because of online.
It propagates these weak behaviors, and these weak behaviors reinforce themselves. It becomes, again, everything becomes a virtuous circle. So everyone runs into the fucking virtual school disco, never breaking the cycle. You two are very fucking lucky. You should count yourselves amazing men for what you've done. Genuinely.
Yeah.
It's like there's this idea that there's a guy who my coach knows, a guy called Eric Spofford, right? So he used to be a massive heroin addict, criminal, the whole 9 yards. Like, my coach was an ex-scumbag. If you think about this, if you commit so hard to your bad, think about how if you really, really wanted to, how you commit to your good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's what a fucking liberating idea. Addicts, we're all addicts. It's just that we did it better than everyone else. Other people are so fucking half-assed.
Yeah.
No, really, genuinely. Because if you're, I think more people are all or nothing. If you're an all or nothing person, you have to be all or nothing. Well, there you go. Let's lean into that shit. See what you can do.
Yeah.
If you think about that, when you push comes to shove, if you were stuck on an island somewhere, I guarantee you'd build a city.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. Lots of people couldn't do that because they're all a bit mealy-mouthed. That's not it. Seriously.
It's interesting you say that. I've expressed that in the past. I'm very, very much all in or all out, and that's why I give up everything on the same day, and people question me for it. I think, what do you want me to do? Start one of them back up?
No, I saw that, and I said, no, it's like, no. And you think about that, if you actually realise that is a real component of you,
yeah.
I mean, genuinely, what could you possibly do if you really, really go, right, I am all in? Because sometimes, again, this is like the memento mori thing. You died. You've died.
Yeah.
You've died. Yeah. That's it. At that point in time, you're essentially done. You're born again. It's all and in theory, you're born again every day.
But that is truly the way I see it as well. I talk about the addict me as the person who was addicted to cocaine and drugs as a past tense, because I truly believe that bloke.
Oh no! Well, here's the thing. I mean, shall I talk about my ego death?
Yeah.
So I send everyone the link to Waking Up app. It's an amazing app. Sam Harris is a neuroscientist, philosopher, and he's a Buddhist, and he did the hard way. He went off to Tibet and did all that shit. And he went, well, this is good stuff. This should be given to other people, but they haven't got time to go to Tibet, so the app exists. So I do a lot of Vipassana, which is mindfulness. There was a guy in concierge downstairs who used to skydive. I used to give him loads of shit. So he gave me shit back and said, you need to do a skydive. And I went, okay, good, I'll do that. I'll give it a go. Cost me 300 quid. Went out to Salisbury. I said, yeah, fuck it, I'll go and do it. Well, how quickly? I found it there. Again, waking up early, no problem. Gym, drove there, beautiful day, crispy, clear sky, 15,000 foot up. And I didn't realize what essentially I'd done until I met a guy who was an ex-US Marine who killed a lot of men, a lot of people, been responsible for that. And he said, that's a dangerous thing. And I said, no, it's not. It's safe. You're attached to a man. He goes, no, that's a dangerous thing. It's a safe, dangerous thing, but it's a dangerous thing. Think about it. Whilst I might rationally think that I know that I'm attached to a man with all this safety gear, what do you think my subconscious being's thinking as I fall?
It could go wrong.
No, I'm falling to my death.
Yeah.
In those moments, I am fucking falling to my death subconsciously, because, and I worked this out afterwards. In the morning, I woke, I did my morning normal practice. I then meditated, and this is what happened. I closed my eyes. I hit a point where I saw a picture of me, and it went like pixelated, like in the most incredibly detailed pixelation, right? And then it came towards me, and then I had light and absolute fucking peace, like absolute peace, like absolute peace. So that was my ego death. I literally then, the next day, I started feeling things slightly differently.
Really?
Because that would make sense, because if you're a construct of yourself in your own consciousness. So this is where you reform. It's like a forever task. You can't kill your ego. My ego once upon a time tricked me in a dream that I thought I killed it. And yeah, great. This is when I gave up the drugs and drink. No, you can't kill it. You can kill it continually. It'll always be a form of the ego.
It sounds like a spiritual type of awakening, which they say you get when you go sober as well. You know?
Well, I think I had to do the meditation to get that. That's because then you're, at least what I think what happens when you're sober, at least you'll become aware of your internal state, or you're not state, which is one of the things I think we do, and we can become more conscious of that state, so we can get like a deepening consciousness. But doing that stuff means you're accessing it. You know, Vipassana means to see things as they truly are. That's what it says. You really see shit. It's amazing. It's quite incredible. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, it sounds it, mate. It sounds it.
I mate, if I had orange robes, people would fucking listen to me.
If you had what?
Orange robes.
Yeah.
Got them all there. Got them all there.
Yeah.
And I went to Ibiza, back to a hotel that I used to be very pretty. It's the first time I was enlightened. It's a very particular state. And I went back to this hotel as a little circle. Go back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I rocked it. I was perfectly fine. And no one talked to me because I was on a very different vibe. I was in the gym at 4, all that kind of shit. And someone said to me, I said, people are talking to me. It's because I look like I'm going to rip your head off. And the nice woman behind the bar said, no, it's because you're a bringer of peace.
Yeah.
Nicest thing anyone ever said to me.
Yeah, nice.
and then when I landed, I could die now. And I had a very particular sense of peace. Now I could walk through the entire concourse like I was an observer, that I was slightly outside of my body. And if a bomb had gone off next to me, I literally wouldn't have blinked. It was very peculiar. And that
you're making me want to jump out of a plane.
Hey, but I don't do that. Meditate. Fucking do that. Meditate. Do that. Meditate, and and then you sort of, there is a certain, you know, whether it's third eye or anything, but there's all of it's there to be found inside.
Yeah, I have been practicing that. I was on this thing earlier before we come onto the call. It's an
earthing mat.
Yeah, an acupuncture mat, and I do breathing
yeah,
work on
yeah,
it. Yeah, I find that very helpful.
I look at that. I'll send you the link. You get 30 days free. I've got no dog in the fight. It's the most incredible thing I think I could ever gift anyone.
Yeah, oh,
yeah, totally. It's 30 days. If you can't afford it, they give it to you for free. It's a very Buddhist thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I appreciate that, mate. And I appreciate your time tonight as well, Ross. We're running out of time, but Jack normally likes to end on a question.
Yes,
Jack, come on, bro.
So Ross, I mean, quite evidently, you've lived quite a life already. You've got a lot of life experiences. But for like individuals who maybe went through the same things that you did, or similar life struggles, what sort of one piece of advice would you give to them that would really, if you could have like given it to yourself back in the day when you were really struggling, what would you do?
No, that's a good question, because I sometimes say, you know, they go back to your younger self, what would you say to them? And I often said nothing, right? But what I would say now is, like, you know, you're worthwhile. Don't fucking give up. You know, you can have a life you deserve. You can make that happen. You can. You have to fucking fight for it, but you're stronger than you think. Stronger than you think. There's more about it than you think. Don't live in fear anymore.
I love that, Ross.
Yeah, really.
It was powerful, mate.
Very powerful.
I'd like to thank you very much for coming on.
You see, this is part of this, and this is true. This is totally part of this fucking problem about doing this life I live, right?
Yeah.
It connects so fucking aggressively to your emotions.
I love that though, mate. I fucking cry. I cry on here all the time.
Yeah, no, it's the most amazing thing, isn't it? Because it's like, it's sort of like, oh yeah, that's what that's meant to feel like.
Yeah, but that's not sadness either, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's gratitude.
It's love and gratitude, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. It's the most pure thing in the world. And if you could, I mean, I tend to try to live from a place of love. If I can not feel, I have to watch that. Watch that. But it's doable. That's the amazing thing. I think you'd probably agree is that if looking back, you would never think the life that you have, you'd either deserve or you could fight for.
Absolutely.
And this is just the beginning. That's the thing.
And this is what I tell the people that I try to help. I always say that switching the 2 F's, I call it, from fear to running off faith. And if you run off faith, then you're not living in fear anymore. You know.
Well, I think with the faith thing, the thing that I've sort of, again, this is it. Is this you build up you have to build up a pile of evidence, because there's a bit of you which will drag you into the pile of evidence which says you're a piece of shit, and there'll be a lot of that. A lot of that.
Yeah.
And it's very fresh and stinking, right? So what I think you have to do is literally, this is the discipline. This is where the discipline comes in. Is you pile up that evidence. You get to a point from being unbreakable to unstoppable to undeniable. When you've been doing it for 10 years, you're fucking undeniable. I mean, I know I'll never break. I will never break.
But it's something you have to work on daily, I think, as 100%.
Well. There's a Jordan Peterson thing about this, right? So what you have is you've got an inbuilt pattern, right? That might be your addictive nature, right? Which you then find ways of treating it. And then what you can do is you can modify that pattern. So what you have to do is, like, you've got a big diesel engine that'll just fucking go all day long, and then you've got a little 4-cylinder. Problem about that 4-cylinder is a bit high revving, maybe a bit of a 2-stroke, right? Needs maintenance. Otherwise it drops off, and then you've got to fucking pick it back up again and then attach it, and then it modifies the whole system. That's what you're doing with behavior. So you have all these incredibly ingrained behaviors which you've used drugs, drink, whatever it is, to treat. This is a different way of modifying it, and it has to be done daily. That is apparently what goes on a kind of model.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom, Ross. How can people find you on Instagram?
Really appreciate it, mate.
You look for a big, slightly pink ginger bloke, right?
Yeah. What's your Instagram name?
It's Ross _ Tyler _ Burgess, which is a pain in the arse name. I should have called it something.
We'll tag you underneath it anyway, and we'll put this up soon. I'll let you know when it's up, mate.
If you like lots of photos of semi-naked me, then you'll love that.
Yeah, Jack will love that.
Hey, I go. Just one last point. Do you know this theory about when you look through your phone, you can see what things you value in the photos? Have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah, so look back. I would suggest you do this experiment, because when I look back, there are very few fucking photos of me, but a lot of my dog.
Right. Yeah.
Because I didn't feel very good about me. Now there are a lot of photos about me, so you can get a snapshot of how what someone values by what's in their photo reel.
Fucking hell, that's probably why there's every single picture of me in the past is with a can of beer in my hand.
Yeah, well, it's kind of look back, go back and look. It's an amazing fucking tool, mate. I couldn't look at myself. If there were photos of me, there was like that. There was like half of me. It's nuts. It's obvious. Cars, everything else, never me. Now there's fucking nothing else for me. I'm glorious.
Yeah, amazing, mate.
That's good.
I love what you do. Keep doing what you do. Keep shining, brother.
Peace out, always.